stated that a gender may be fluid, but the idea of mother cannot be.
Forget about the gender part. There's sometimes only a father.
We have gone beyond motherhood. We have gone into parenthood today.
Yes, my lord. Adoption is not an alternate to biological birth, my lords. My respectful submission is that adoption is a mechanism to find
Equally, our
best.
law does recognize that you can adopt.
Lordships have held that there is no fundamental right of adoption.
No, I think we may differ on that because
People are in a live-in relationship,
Yes.
maybe a heterosexual couple, that they will not have a right to adopt.
Not under the existing law, my lords. Human child, my lords, I don't have to state it, but human child really is one of the most helpless childs of all, my lords, living beings in the nature. And it needs all pervasive, intense and indulgent care in the early years. And therefore, my lords, mother has been strongly protected, not just in the Constitution, but also in the Juvenile Justice Act, the Maternity Benefit Act. Stated that a gender may be fluid, but the idea of mother cannot be. And therefore, my lords, it is very pertinent and important that this is given a very careful consideration. The whole perspective is, my lords, that what I'm presenting for your lordship's kind consideration is from the point of view to show to your lordships that this architecture, how it is going to be, my lords, impacted by a declaration and reading into Special Marriage Act.
Forget about the gender part. There's sometimes only a father.
we have gone beyond motherhood. We have gone into parenthood today.
Yes, my lord.
Because there are, as Justice Kohli is mentioning,
Please, my lord.
there are single parents.
Please, my
Now,
lord.
Male or a
there
female.
is a death at childbirth.
Please, my lord.
The mother unfortunately dies of disease or accident.
Please, my
The
lord.
compulsion.
And there is no question of the caregiver being the father,
Please,
regardless of. Likewise, there are adopted children
Yes,
of
ma'am.
only of males
Please, ma'am.
by men, by fathers. So it's gone beyond the concept of, in that sense,
I bow down.
when the Constitution envisioned it, and some of this parents patria, interestingly, if you see the quotation of Lord Justice Lindley, he talked about husbands, guardians, and fathers.
Please, my lords.
So that was a situation where women didn't have agency. Women were even seen as wards.
Please, my lord.
Right? So therefore, the question of guardianship was that with men.
Please, my lords.
So it's an evolving,
I bow down, my lords. I bow down to what is falling from
what
your
is
lordships.
central to this, yes, is unchanging, which is the welfare of the child.
Please, my lords. So, my lords, my respectful submission would be, my lords, that your lordships may see it from the perspective that this method of naturally born heterosexual couples bringing up their children is the ideal mode. And the law and the entire regulation has provided for, my lords, children who do not have that. From that perspective, please see now, my lords, the aspect of adoption. I have given one example in para 13 of sponsorship, which is available to only widowed, divorced, or abandoned mothers to seek sponsorship for their children. That's a protection under Section 45, specifically available only to this category of women, my lords. Then please see, my lords, please see para 14. My respectful submission is adoption is not an alternate to biological birth, my lords. My respectful submission is that adoption is a mechanism to find
Equally,
best.
our law does recognize that you can adopt for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
You may adopt even though you are capable of biological birth.
Please,
You can adopt if you don't want biological birth.
please, my lords.
There's no compulsion to have biological children. Therefore, our law does recognize
Please, my lords.
the fact that there may be situations within this ideal of a cohabiting family with father and mother of of a heterosexual gender family having their own biologically born children. But that's not
Please.
how our law is postulated also, right? What happens if, suppose, between the pendency, during the tenure of a heterosexual marriage, one of the spouses dies, then the other spouse really assumes the character of a father and the mother, depending on, isn't it? So that is something which our law recognizes.
My lords, I bow down. The law recognizes again from the perspective of the child. Your lordships have held that there is no fundamental right of adoption.
No, I think we may differ on that, because even if you go back to tradition,
Yes, my lords.
the right of a grandfather to take in adoption
Please, my lords.
the son of the daughter, what is classically known as one of the approved forms of forms of, yes, having a child,
Yes, my lords.
Pitrika Putra.
Please, my lords.
So that is a known notion. So it is not that this is no sanction. It is hallowed. It's hallowed in
My lords,
tradition.
I bow down, my lords.
Therefore, to say this is an exception may not be appropriate.
My
And
lords,
why did even in some schools, even grown women, widows, are enabled to adopt? Why? There's another purpose there.
my lords,
And even there are situations where adoptions take place, and thereafter there is biological birth.
please.
That too happens. So
My
there are
lords.
any number of situations where adoptions is the norm.
My
But
lords,
yes, you're right. But then all this is serving to emphasize and heavily underline that there is a normal and these are exceptions.
my lords, my respectful submission is not of exception. My endeavor is to present to your lordships that all of this is crafted together from the perspective of child being at the core of it. It's not right that in yours.
Ms. Bhatti, that you need not labor at all. That
May not be. That may not be.
But the welfare of the child is paramount, obviously.
Definitely.
True.
So, my lord, adoption is, I want to show to your
But
lordship.
the means of realizing that welfare are numerous. The pathways are
I bow down.
numerous.
I bow down. In fact,
Some of them
adoption,
are a matter of choice, some a matter of compulsion.
Function.
I bow down, my lords, and the Kara guidelines
But
actually.
tell us one thing, is it your case that a right which is otherwise available to an individual to adopt a child is taken away because that individual is in any relationship otherwise than a heterosexual marriage?
That is right, my lords. And that is not just true for adoption. That is true for assisted reproduction, which is now regulated by the assisted
So
reproduction.
if two people are in a live-in relationship,
Yes, my lords.
does that mean that therefore, because of the fact that the two people are in a live-in relationship,
Yes.
maybe a heterosexual couple, that they will not have a right to adopt?
Not under the existing law, my lords. Not just adopt,
But
my lords.
is the right of one of them to adopt taken away because she or he is in a live-in relationship?
My lords, one of them can adopt. But the only couple relationship that adoption
It's a heterosexual
and surrogate reproduction, all three of them only recognize one kind of couple. That is a heterosexual married couple.
Therefore, no. But therefore, if two people, if a
Yes.
heterosexual couple is in a live-in relationship, one of them can certainly adopt? Or is it Kara's case that we will deny you the right to adopt because you are in a heterosexual live-in relationship?
No, my lords. I permit me to show it to your lordships the Kara
If I
regulation.
may paraphrase your argument, it is
Yes, my
like
lord.
this. The public policy consideration which you are actually mooting or advocating, or rather stating, is that yes, we allow adoptions by single, let's say males, single females, in their capacity as single males or single females.
Please, my lords.
But
not
the moment they enter into either
Union
a
or
same-sex relationship or another kind of live-in relationship, that relationship is not per se recognized.
I bow down, my lords.
So the only recognition of a relationship of father and mother is where there is a
Heterosexual marriage.
Lordships, please. And that is true not just for adoption, but also ART Act.
My question is different. If people are in a live-in relationship,
Please, my lords.
then is the right of an individual in a live-in relationship to adopt taken away by virtue of the fact that they're in a live-in relationship?
My lords, they will not be, so only one parent can adopt as a
Fair
single
enough.
mother or the single
That we've got.
lordship.
But your circular says something to the contrary.
No,
Because your circular says that the moment you are in a live-in relationship, albeit in a same-sex relationship, then you cannot adopt even as a single individual.